Dreams of power and glory drove us. We pledged our souls, for the world was the prize. Cities fell before us as we draped our banner across the continent. Our war was terrible, magnificent. I remember the roar of cannons, the cries of the wounded, the terror in the eyes of friend and foe alike. But I also remember how my brothers braved waves of lances and hails of arrows, laughing in the face of death itself, to claim victory time after time. It is their story I tell, one of love and hatred, of honor and betrayal, of a time when countless legends were born in battle, their thirst for glory, sated only by victory.
Welcome to xGameZones, hub to latest popular games, cheat code, reviews, preview and news. Conqueror's Blade is genuinely fun. The battles are frantic, the breadth of units is awesome, and the variety of game modes and diverse places to progress mean that Conqueror's Blade is a great game to play for both casual and dedicated players. Its open-ended and broad nature also mean that there are plenty of avenues to explore, whether on the world map, in terms of mechanics, or even progression. Just be prepared to sink the necessary amount of time to enjoy all that it has to offer. Please subscribe in our YouTube channel and follow and like us on Facebook #xgamezones. Visit our site at www.xgamezones.com for more gaming review. I've progressed somewhat, veering away from house battles and focusing more on my own character progression. I've had a lot of fun expanding my repertoire of weapons and units, as well as exploring the various types of battles. I've also had more time to really pay attention to smaller details that can add to or take away from the enjoyment. Generally speaking, visuals and sound for a game are typically supportive of gameplay. When done poorly, they can detract from the game. Fortunately, Conqueror's Blade doesn't suffer too much in this department, but some variation in sound effects would really help. Relatedly, the game performs very well. I rarely find myself lagging due to either frame rate or ping, suggesting that the game is well optimized. There are no slowdowns when the screen is full of friendly and enemy units, even on my modest machine. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. That said, progression in Conqueror's Blade is, as you may imagine, slow. Whether leveling your own character or units, it may take many battles before you see some of the experience bars move an appreciable amount. Conqueror's Blade offers experience booster items for battles and premium status for accounts, which may be worthwhile to those who play more casually and have money to spend. Experience boosters can be earned through quests, but I don't know how often they're awarded. I don't feel a pay-to-win vibe, although it's safe to say that a significant investment of time will be necessary to enjoy higher-tier troops, with or without boosters. Building your units involves unlocking them through honor points and outfitting them with weapons. A 30-man unit requires 30 kits of an appropriate weapon type. You can outright buy the unit with in-game currency, but that becomes prohibitively expensive over time. Crafting weapon kits for your units requires traveling the realms and harvesting appropriate materials, but this, too, carries risks. As mentioned above, you can expect to obtain those high-tier troops will take somewhere to the tune of forever to get to, but I suspect that will make their acquisition all the more enjoyable. I've tried 3 of the weapons now and favor the halberd and sword, shield. The halberd clearly makes for a better mass combat weapon, but defense is sorely lacking. Similarly, the sword has less offensive power, but the shield is very nice for holding off persistent enemies. I'm still curious about the other weapons, but they'll have to wait. Each weapon accrues its own experience. So if you want to develop more skills for one of your weapons, you'll have to play that weapon. The world map is traveled by other players and is often rife with bandits and bandit lairs. Towns and cities are controlled by player guilds, called houses, which can restrict one's actions. For instance, towns allow you to restock food and heal units, but you can only do so in a town owned by your house. The starter town in a given region is always friendly for players and functions as the new player hub. Player versus player combat is enabled on the world map, so there is an ever-present danger of being attacked by players while outside the safety of town. You can take varying numbers of units with you as you travel, but just like in Mount and Blade, the more troops you have, the slower you travel and the more food you consume. Traveling light with only peasant troops may help you get the resources you need, but you'll be vulnerable to ambush if you're not careful. While in town, you can enroll in matchmaking for various fights. Some are training battles against bots or expeditions with waves of enemies, whereas others are PvP, domination-style battles for control points and siege battles. As the game has progressed, I've had a more difficult time finding matches, although it may just be a schedule thing. I'm sure playing at night will yield more players. I find myself going to the match types that people are playing at the moment, which I guess works well enough for me. The battles are a blast. Matches typically have about 15 players per side, and quitting mid-battle is penalized, although I haven't explored the penalty system much. Siege battles remain my favorite battle type. Using siege equipment is worth it, and it's reasonable to assume that unless you bring your own siege engines, others will be competing for the chance to use what's available. That said, for some reason, I'm almost always a defender in the siege battles. I prefer being a defender, but it'd be nice to attack every so often. It is reasonable to assume that odd bugs are going to occasionally pop up in any game. For example, an enemy NPC commander spawned naked in my last game, and Conqueror's Blade is no exception. The developers are patching frequently, and if they remain this committed to polishing Conqueror's Blade, I think it's fair to say that the game may become even more enjoyable. If you have any comments or suggestion, feel free to comment below. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe in our YouTube channel and follow and like us on Facebook #xGameZones. For more gaming review, visit our site at www.xgamezones.com. Don't forget to click the notification bell.